Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality s- TV and docuseries. I just had a moment where I could not remember what else I was supposed to say.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that because it looked like someone had walked in your place, and I was like, "Holy shit, what am I gonna watch right now?" Anyway, so uh,
Anyways,
here's the thing: whatever we're doing, whatever we're talking, whatever we're saying in this podcast, we're doing it through our own lens, honey. Our lens is just like a bunch of shit, but at the end of the day, it's sweet. Okay, we
mhm.
did it. We did it. Wah. Okay, this is a brand new season, honey, and we're on it despite this horrible intro. And Wah wants to shoot it again, but I won't let her because I feel like we're in some sort of like improv show and like there's guns to our heads. I can't tell you, and we can't go back. This is 90 Day Fiancé the other way, honey. We call it tow, honey. We call it tow, like you tow a shitty car across the nation. And that's kind of a metaphor. And here we are, season 4, episode 1. It's called To Love and Be Wise is Impossible, which is really awkward to say. And even as I was writing it down, I was like, I'm sorry, what's it called again?
Oh,
To
wait, it's
love.
not just to love and be wise?
Well, when I looked it up online, it said to love and be wise is impossible. And it just, I mean, maybe that is grammatically correct, but it sounds awkward.
Really? I mean, they have not come up with good names of episodes in a while now. Normally it's a pun of some kind.
Yeah, and they've done, and believe this to be true, many different duplicates already, where it's like, whatever it is, gonna be like, to
Lady and the Tramp. Like there's been
yeah,
many
yeah,
episodes
yeah.
referred to as Lady and the
Love is
Tramp.
patient, love is in a bind.
Ah.
Whatever. So here's the thing. I, however, am very excited, well, because we have basically everyone's new except for one couple, and they're almost kind of new, but really horribly not new. But they're still feeling somewhat new-ish because they were on that spinoff, basement daughter of a show 90 Day likes to call Love in Paradise. But what great diversity we have in a lot of different ways, which I'm excited to, get into. Plus, yeah, new blood. Wah.
Na 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 bad blood. I tried
I
to
know.
yes and I failed it. Anyways,
Yep.
so this is nine oh you already did that. I don't know what to say. Let's just jump into this. I'm so sleepy. Sorry everyone. I'm doing my best. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I took, you know why? I had a little bit of migraine and I took an Advil PM and it's PM, honey. It's PMing right now. So let's jump right into our first couple. Our first couple is Jamie and Chris. Chris starts spelled with a K, not to be confused with Christine Farah. So it's going to be really hard for me to do this and say Chris over and over again. So sorry for those of you in Patreon. We do not have pictures, so we will get it next time. Um, Jamie and Chris, right? First thing we have is Chris. Not unlike our Chris, not unlike Chris Farah, except for without the wings and the costumes. Uh, in a fairy outfit, twirling, skipping down the driveway to the
Mhm,
mailbox.
mhm,
And
mhm.
the only thing that's similar is the skipping part because Chris will skip in public.
Oh, yes, that is true. Now, I thought you were going to say this, which is a hard, hard line I have with Chris with a K. That's how we can decipher. Also, Chris, that's very sleepy, sleepy Chris. We also could call her Sleepy Chris. Well, Sleepy Chris loves a onesie. Now, I couldn't love a onesie more. Wa knows this, like, and it really goes across the board. Like, I love jumpsuits. I love two pieces that look like one outfit, like, a top and bottom that's the same, like I love what Wa's wearing, which is like a big overall thing that you can pretty much like wear that's like kind of onesie, but like it's a warm. I love what she's wearing, which is pajama onesies. I have onesies that zip up. I have them with feet. If I could find one that has that little like bottom thing that like pops off with the little snaps, like you're like a little boy, in the 1960s, I'd buy that. Like I just like I for some reason just I'm enamored with the thought of the idea of one outfit done one and done. And for some reason onesies look good on me because like I have long legs and I don't know, I think I look cute in them.
Basically, Chris just likes to get butt naked when she goes to the bathroom in private and in public.
Well, that is listen, there is some caveats, and you have to really get over that because it could be freezing when you're just, like, naked as the day you were born, honey, just, like, in a public stall. Public stall.
Yes. So she comes down and she checks the mail and she knows there's no mail.
No!
And she goes back into the house and says that she is not unlike anybody else in her town, Haleyville, Alabama. And she loves to play dress up. That is who she is. She is a theater kid at heart. She didn't say that, I said that. And we see her in like several outfits. And then the last outfit we see her in is a unicorn onesie. So that's another thing. Yeah. So it's skipping and unicorn onesies. And then we hear that she believes that she's 40 going on 20 and that she looks 20. And I said, maybe from afar.
No. No, babe. Now, here's the thing. Does not mean that you don't look good and you don't look better than especially also people in your town. I don't think you don't look not young. Well, here's the thing.
She doesn't look 20.
She doesn't look 20, and the reason why is mama is sleepy. You know what I'm saying? And I get it because I have natural dark circles and I'm also always in wanting of a nap. And there's like, yeah, she doesn't not look a little sleepy. And because of the sleepiness, she looks a little, like she's been tired. And the ben kind of ages you, the ben.
Mm-hmm. She needs a little orange concealer underneath her regular concealer to kind of like counterbalance the blue that's underneath her eye.
A lot of blue.
Yeah. So she's dating a girl with a very fun spelled name named Jamie, Jeymi. She's Venezuela living in Bogota. And she's been married twice, Chris with a K, and she says that she's always considered herself bisexual because I think for her it's probably the safest thing to say, but she never like announced her bisexuality. And she would sneak off to gay bars in Birmingham, Alabama in order to be able to like live her best life. And the fear kept her miserable, the fear of coming out in the Bible Belt. And so one day she just decided, F it. She was going to get on an international website and she was going to look for a baddie of her own. And she did. She found one. She's been in a 1-year long distance relationship with Jamie and they have not met. She also has lots of cake pans when she's doing a yard sale.
Didn't explain that. Like, yeah, I will say this. Yeah,
she's an avid baker. That's what we're supposed to assume.
Yeah, no, for sure. I wish we could follow her into like one of the Bama Butch bars. Wouldn't she love to see it? I would. I've been at Alabama once, so that's why I can call it Bama. Like once you've been there, you can call it. That's fine. And I'm in Birmingham, and it was beautiful. Really, really, really beautiful. I wonder if Chris always. So Chris also display. Okay. So I wonder if Chris is always attracted to feminine women. That's what I wanted to ask, and I will say that she says, of course she has dated women before, but like she wouldn't leave the house because of the unfortunate like problems we have, especially where she's living in the South and her very conservative family and whatnot. Both are from conservative families, very religious. Both people also different cultures, very religious settings that would have probably the very same idea of homosexuality, So, yeah, I really, really, really like her. She's so interesting. Like later on, we'll talk about the sleepiness, and that's like a shot in the heart. That's like also a whole other thing.
Shot in the heart, and you're to blame. You give love a bad name. So while she's having this garage sale, she's got on an interesting green headband, and we wonder why.
It was just so tight. And then we meet her kids, right? And so she has one daughter and she has one son. The son's a ginger, and the daughter, God bless, and is cute. The daughter was also really, really cute as a little child. Like I kept seeing that daughter's little baby pictures being like, what a beautiful baby. Her daughter and her son like fully get like her alternative lifestyle. Her daughter looks like maybe like she's also in one too. God bless. So it looked
yeah,
like
her daughter's really giving LGBTQ.
Yeah.
It's her name is Star. It has 2 R's in it. She's 23, and poor baby. Chris with a K got pregnant the first time she had sex at 16. I mean, could you imagine coming from a deeply like Catholic or religious background and then just, I guess, not truly having any education when it comes to like even the pull-out method, that you would have the just the worst luck in the world to have sex outside of marriage and then have evidence of it. Their
This is
first time,
one
and it's not even good, Chris. Chris, sex is not good until the like eighth time, teenth,
I
eighth, teenth.
understand that, but I will say this, they never talk about how good sex feels without a condom in sex education, and I know that sounds like counterintuitive, but I think that because you never really understand how good it feels until like, and I'm hope, this is obviously a precursor if you do enjoy sex and whatnot. If you do enjoy sex, it's overwhelmingly pleasurable, and it's hard to once you realize that it's happening, it could happen, and like, oh my god, and then be like, oh, I choose to have it feel a little bit less. It's hard. It's a hard thing, and so you then get into self discipline and making healthy choices, and that part of sex education I didn't quite understand till like later. I thought it'd be very easy to just be like, of course, condom. And it's because like they didn't tell me, honey, how great it felt. Anyway, so
I I mean, my first time, it didn't feel good my first time. It didn't feel good my second. First of all, my first time I felt literally nothing. My second time I felt nothing as well. It was the same person. My third time
shitty
I
person.
felt
That's a
I
shitty
felt a
person.
lot and it didn't feel good.
Oh.
I have never like, not never before like the last year. It's just not been that experience for me. So in my mind, it is awkward and you feel nothing and then you get pregnant.
Well, that's what happened to her, honey. She looks at her 2 kids and she's like, "What are you gonna miss most about your fat mom?" And they're gonna be like, probably just like the
Fat?
snores." No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I don't know. Also, just like, you're definitely leaving us, and we're like teens. We're not. I mean, that stars in her like teenhood, right? Like that person
Mm-mm.
isn't a full adult.
23, stars 23. It's the
Oh, that's so
ginger that's the full Irish bloodline ginger is the one that's 18. That boy's hair is so red. He is like of the Fey folk of Irish lore. Like he is like from the Highlands of Scotland with that red hair.
yeah, honey. He's hairy. He's spare. He's spare
He's
hairy.
yeah.
Um,
So
she's gonna
then
leave him. She has no care. She's like, "Yeah, you're gonna miss me. You're gonna miss about me. He's your whole mom because I'm not here in this country anymore. Goodbye."
yeah, you're 18, figure it out.
Mhm.
We also find out that the daughter is like really calculating and she's like, the math isn't mathing and this is not gonna work. We find out that she is gonna get married 9 days after she gets there, and she says she's not worried because when Jamie had COVID, which side note, Jamie never mentioned having COVID. Not at all. And that kind of leads into the narrative that Texas lady tells Chris with a K that Jamie never had COVID. So, anyways, maybe we're gonna talk about that.
I'm so
So,
excited. Yeah. We
yeah,
get
so she
B
says,
B footage of Colombian dancing. Did you love that? Just like that little like it felt like, oh, I'm sorry, in the streets everywhere, everyone's just like salsa dancing all the time. There's just like street salsa, street salsa. Okay.
sounds like something delicious you eat with chips.
Honey, both. I want street salsa and I want street salsa. Only street salsing like chipping to some crunchy chips and salsa. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. Talk about Jamie.
So anyway, yeah, Jamie is soups cute, honey. I mean, she's adorable. I kept looking at that nose, being like, "Is that your real nose?" Only because it had like a little sloopy whoops, but I'm not quite sure. You tell me. She's really really beautiful. Listen, she's buying lingerie at a sex shop. Now, that's not my first choice because I think that, like to me that feels a little cheap. But however, we don't know like what every option is. Well, just came at
Wait,
me.
what?
What her face is.
Buying oh, you mean instead of buying it at a specific lingerie atelier. That's what
Yes.
you mean? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be, but it just depends on like what they got in Bogota. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you gotta get what you got. And also listen, not all the time, because I think there's definitely lingerie that like bought at a sex shop that serves a purpose. You know what I'm saying? So, but I guess in my mind, it's like, listen, I'm gonna get two lesbians, like two lesbians, and I love women and I want women to like be showing me, like how they're doing it. And I don't know. And it's like in my mind, I want my lesbians to be like wearing a lingerie that like makes them feel exquisite and but I think that maybe there's not a lot of options. Anyway, this is just my fantasy, honey, and we all have them. We all have lesbian fantasies. This
Yeah,
is
I
my
was just gonna
lesbian
say.
fantasy is like like La Perla, women in La Perla, honey, like silk and like lace, just like they don't really take it off ever because whatever, but like they're beautiful. What?
That's how I want my lesbians. When I think of lesbians, I don't think of them in the bed with me, or I don't think about like what they wear besides a strap on. That's hot.
Ooh.
Anyways, so she tells us that she is in the closet basically to her family, but she is a lesbian today, tomorrow, next year, next weekend, forever. That is who she is. She is lesbiana. And so we're really like happy for her because she's like drawing the female form on a wall, and she's got a little dog that's like looking at her for her every move. And we have a conversation with her and her friends the next scene. And the friends are like, what? Chris with a K is coming to see you. Didn't you tell us that she's horrible and she did all this shit to you? So then we find out that the kink in the armor. We find out that Chris with a K ghosted Jamie for 20 days. And she said that she had some personal issues going on. And I personally feel that there is never a reason for ghosting. You can send a text saying, listen, I can't do this right now. I'll get back at you. Like, there is literally never an excuse for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because it was like before her birthday. So, like you're ghosting someone that you love, like right before their birthday too. So like and you
Absence.
don't live there. Your absence definitely is being felt because you also don't live there. And so not only are you not texting once or twice, you're just like gone. And she supposedly did show up then for her birthday. I don't know. And then just said that she was going through troubles or whatever. Now, let's come back to our girl, Chris with a K. She also then delivers this bit of information, which I've already said, which is that she been having some health issues. One of her health issues is she has narcolepsy. And yeah, like it means that she just falls asleep. She's tired. Her body does not like her circadian rhythm is off. Her body does not know sleepy time for not sleeping time. So she can just like fall asleep all the time, and so maybe that was what was happening in the 20 days or whatever. She was just sleeping a lot, or she didn't want to say something, like I can't imagine that. Well, have you known anyone that's ever had narcolepsy?
No, the only other person that I've heard of, and this is from another reality show, is Jinx Monsoon from season 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race, also season 4 of All Stars, the winners season. And she didn't talk about it in her second season as the All Stars winner. So I don't know anything about narcolepsy. I could have looked it up, but I'm assuming it's some kind of neurological issue. Movies have made fun of it throughout the 90s, but she says that it's an awful disease because people always assume that she's doing it on purpose, and they feel like she doesn't care because she falls asleep on them. And I never understood it because I'm like, can you drive then? Because like, would you then fall asleep at any moment? So then, yeah, her life is very, very confined. But honey, that doesn't stop her. She has many jobs. Okay, she owns 2 homes, one of which is burnt on the inside. And she's like, yeah, I want to get this house that I guess has 4 units in it up and running so she can rent it so that she can pay her rent in Bogota. And then she also wants to rent out the house next to that, and so that she can also pay her rent. She also works for a security company or owns a security company. I don't know. And then she's the manager of a large shipping company. So, I mean, she was also sleeping and she was also working. Like she was doing both of those things and taking care of her teenage son. So I'm like, here's what I believe. Because of all of the like clickbait forward information they're giving us about in this segment, we know that Chris with a K blows up on Jamie at least 2 different times. That she like threatens to leave. And so they're already walking in with this idea that somehow Jamie is using her. And it stemmed from the fact that during the 20-day hiatus, Jamie got upset and started dating somebody else from the very same website. And then she gave that person her Facebook information. That person went on Facebook and saw that Jamie was in a relationship with somebody by the name of Chris. And because Chris was in Alabama and Texas was in Texas, the woman was in Texas. Texas messages Chris and was like, hey, just so you know, are you still in a relationship with this person? Because she's telling me you guys are not, but Facebook is telling me something else, as well as she's telling me that she didn't have COVID and she's using you for money. And my thought is, it's like, Jamie, if you're using somebody for money, don't tell the other white American that you're using somebody else for money. Like, keep that shit to yourself and just use everybody for money and shut up. You don't think that Texas is going to reach out to Alabama? So she says, Chris with a K, that Jamie begged and begged and begged and begged and begged. And Jamie then understood like why that would have happened, but she's still now worried that Jamie is using her.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know the answer. And, we don't know the answer. All we know is that she is getting there, that, I think that Jamie has children as well, right?
No,
Okay.
Isabel does.
Yeah,
I
Isabel does.
I think that this reminds me a lot of Frankie and Gabby. Like it's giving me that tease where we like don't know who's lying and who and what's happening until we actually get them together in the same place. So I'm very interested. We do get introduced to Mother Mona, who is a devout Christian with a cute little pixie cut, and it's interesting because Mother Mona seems different than Chris with a K. Like to me, they don't seem like they are in the same family, or if they are in the same family, Mother Mona is like the fancy aunt.
Yeah, she's kind of like Olympia Dukakis. She gives me Olympia Dukakis. People on the streets were also saying that Chris with a K, like maybe was like into like some, bad of the bad stuff. But that was what I think. Like people started to say those tweets before I think that they dropped the narcolepsy thing, and so it's it. I think it's because she's skinny. She's a skinny woman. I don't know, my loves. I think that it's exciting to have again like lesbians on, and there's obviously different tropes about lesbians. Like here's like one trope, right? That they are just like they like once they jump in, honey, like heart first, and just like
U-Haul.
lesbians like hold hands and they move in with each
Yeah.
other. Like that's like kind of like what sometimes is a stereotype with that. So I was like gonna wonder and see if like this was going to kind of, shade that. And it is because that's always the nature of 90 Day Fiance shows is that like they're jumping in wholeheartedly without really near any research and or time. And so yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I really also am excited to see more Columbia. In this case, it's like what I want to see. Where are they? Alabama? They're yeah. Would I want to see more Haleyville, Alabama, or do I want to see more Bogota, Columbia? And I'll pick Columbia.
Bogota.
How do you say it?
Bogota.
Sorry,
And then
man.
there's also Medellin, Colombia as well.
You're
I
right.
think, yeah. So we're going to Colombia twice, I believe. Maybe where is Medellin? Is that in? I think Medellin's in Colombia. So let's move on to our next couple. We've got Danielle, who's 42, and Johan, who's 32. And for those of you guys who did not watch Love in Paradise, shame on you. Because if
Hmm.
you had, then you already know them. And we wouldn't have to give you any backstory, which I'm not going to. Here's what I'm going to say is that we get to New York City. Okay. It's the 1920s. And we hear, wah, 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 wah. And it's like black and white. So we're like, what is happening? And it's like, why are you playing jazzy Chicago music over black and white video footage of New York? Wah, 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 wah.
I loved it. I love that music. I was like, oh, honey, get that C side of a B side. Um, Danielle is back with those lashes, honey, and she's just like, listen, not much has changed. I'm still like somewhat teaching, but like I was until whatever I'm deciding what I'm deciding. I'm still like mostly doing the yoga thing as my side and we like show her like teaching. And she kind listen, I've taken a lot of yoga and maybe she's nervous, but she kind of is like, all right, downward dog, put your hands, make sure that you feel all the parts of your hands on the floor. Okay, upward dog, and make sure you feel all the parts of your feet on the floor. And it was just a little bit like, oh, that's what you always hear. Like my kind of like favorite kind of yoga teacher is like someone who really is mindfully looking around and giving direction that I think is a little more specific. Well,
My
I mean,
favorite kind of yoga teacher is the kind of yoga teacher that does yoga with me, and isn't wearing like a head wrap that indicates that if they were to even get into downward dog, it would fall right off.
mhm,
So
mhm,
she's like wearing some kind of like shawl as she's doing it too, giving us real Ifa Mother Earth.
mhm.
And she after the session tells one of her um, clients, two of her clients, that she's gonna move to um, Dominican Republic to be with Johan, and they are like shocked and shooketh. And then we are reintroduced to the word Sankey Panky.
Oh,
And Sankey Panky is when a foreigner goes to one of the beautiful Caribbean and or Central American places and they fall in love or they get with a man. It's kind of like Stella got her groove back esque vibes. And that man wines and dines her And it's giving Ryan from Belize with Stephanie. Ryan. And so it's basically where they just use these older women for their monies, either for trips to America, anything they can. And she's like, I know what a Sankey Panky is, and no, he's not that. I've been there twice. I know him. We're soulmates.
Yeah, and I know intermediate Spanish. So this is it for us, believe me. It's so funny. So she really is driving home this narrative that she is the fucking over New York. She hates New York. New York is like her toxic boyfriend, honey, that like, gives her sometimes good things, but the truth of the matter is such work that she's just over it. She doesn't want it anymore. Yes, of course, she will order a matcha latte with oat milk. And I don't know whether she thinks she's going to be able to like get that all the time in the DR, but maybe she'll be making it herself. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, and she also like needs the access to good skincare that New York
Mhm.
has to offer. And I'm like, have somebody send you have Sandra or Lizette send you some skincare. It's fine.
Yeah. And we meet those two babes again. Now we remember them when she told them that she was going there in the first place, and they were like, "That's crazy. You're a nightmare. And why would you do that? It's a horrible idea." So we basically have the exact same scene, except this time they're like, "Okay, you're gonna go over there and just what are you going to do for money?" And this bitch looks at these two women in their eyes, honey, and has the audacity to be like, I'll manifest it.
You man. Okay. All right. Well, she said the one thing that I think
Okay.
knew her friends, that her friends at that point knew that the war had been lost. They just needed to accept it and move on. And so that is what they did. And then she tells them and the rest of America that she talked to her pension person, and that pension person told her, hey, if you work one more year, then you will get an extra 15K a year once you turn 63 and can retire. So, as I was you, I would work another year. And she's like, no, I hate it. I want to just live on the beach, do yoga classes to tourists for money, and eat mangoes. That is what I will do. And I said, well, you can't just eat mangoes. So get you some rice, get you some beans, and make you some kind of sauce, because that's what you will be eating.
Now, if you wanted mangoes, you could just go to New Jersey in Gabby's mom's house from Love After Lockup, and you could just steal one of hers from her black and white kitchen, honey. Because even though she'll be very mad when you walk into Gabby's mom's kitchen, she'll be very stern at first. She'll still allow you a piece of mango, even if she's going to grill you about some questions like, what women were you talking to? Anyway, that's a crossover. Here's my other situation about Danielle. I love that Danielle basically is like, oh, I'm a teacher. I fucking hate kids. No, I hate them. No, I can't do this. I can't do this one more second, no matter how much you pay me. They're horrible. I hate my job. You can throw money at me, and even like, yeah, my pension, like when I'm older and could really use it, and it's still not worth it as much as that's how much I hate them kids. That I
Yeah.
teach.
I mean, so she gets to Dominican Republic, but before that, we meet Johan, and we get a great scene of him washing his body. We also get another amazing scene of him trying to learn English out of a book. And I said, you
Oh,
know what? Bendito. Thank you. Like this is wonderful. Side note, Chris. Frank called me today and spoke to me in almost decent English, and I was taken aback. Someone else has been learning English out of a book as well.
wow, that is bananas. That is muy loco. Yeah. Yeah, he's like sucre. No, he's like dulce, sweet,
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I like this little like he had an actually good accent. Now here's the thing. So that scene, so here's the thing. So we obviously know that Danielle has now set up and that she hates New York. We knew from Live in the Caribbean, there already was this contention of where they were gonna live. Now, even though Johan is not Sankey Panky, just so happens he desperately wants to live in America, and like that's his dream. Has always been his dream, and he wants to get work there. And he very much has told Danielle, He doesn't want to live in his home country anymore, which is where she met him. And she very much is like, yeah, but that's where I want to live. I want to live. And so she gets married to him and is like, yeah, don't worry, I'm going to totally apply for your visa. Yeah, I apply. Like, yeah, you're a visa. Like, that's why we got married, right, babe? And like, I'll listen to your wants and needs because, like, I respect you as my husband. Like, oh, yeah, I applied for your visa. Just kidding. I didn't apply because I don't even want to live in America anyway. So her big plan is to obviously get to the DR, tell him that she doesn't want ever to go back to America, that she's not applied for the visa to get a place that they thought was temporary and to like move in longer. So she gets her butt to the airport, honey, and he's picking her up at the airport, and then
Literally.
she runs and jumps on him, that little koala, honey, with her little like legs wrapped around him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
he is tall and she is small. Tall and smalls. Small and tall, so they get in the car, and it does look beautiful, but it's like not even like nearly 2 seconds before she starts dropping hits like, look how gorgeous it here. Oh my God, how could you even think about ever living in America? It's so shitty. And he's like, oh God, I can't believe you are back. Like, I forgot how shitty you could be. And so he's like, well, that's because I want to, that's because we talked about living there. So that's like why I want to live there. She's like, well, you can't live there. Like, first of all, do you know how expensive it is? Muy caro. My place is 4,000 and you can't even speak English. Like, and by the way, have you been learning a word? No, and it's like so rude what she does to him. And it's because she is trying to drive home her wants and needs and her objective, which is to live there, which also her living there and getting him to do so also speaks to a weird insecurity where I think she wants so badly to make it seem like, see, he doesn't want to come to America. It's not sanky panky, because if he lives with me here in the DR, then his whole goal of going to America, like that's not really a real thing for him.
Also, right? He brings up a very valid point that in the DR, there is no way for him to get ahead. And he wants to be able to take care of his mother and his family. And one, she's not willing to come there and do that for him. So to alleviate his pressure to go to the US. And B, she's not listening to him to better understand that there are no options for growth for him in the DR. And his best bet is to go to the US. And it's just so manipulative and then mean of her to do it the way that she did it, like trying to basically tell him he doesn't know anything and he's not smart. He didn't learn you're not going to be able to work there anyway. And I said, what an absolute lie. There are people in New York City right now from the Dominican Republic who have lived in New York City for 45 years and do not speak a word of English. And they work. It is very possible for you to be a Spanish speaker only in this country and work. And also, why can't she just move to Florida? Florida, there'll be a bunch of Spanish speakers that he could hang out with. It's better weather. She can hang out at the beach. And her money will go far there because it's cheaper. It's a cheaper cost of living. And this $4,000 apartment she has, that's on her for being gypped. She's lying. She's not paying $4,000 a month on a teacher's pension and also being like a priestess of the Yafa or whatever, Ifa religion. This is a lie. Her rent at the most is $2,200 to $2,500.
Yeah, I know. Then she mildly brings up the Ifa again. She was like, "Yeah, last time I was here, like, because all she brings up about the Ifa is that Johan comes from an evangelical Christian background and she comes from Ifa, So anyway,
she doesn't come from Ifa. She adopted it.
Yeah, I know. I said it and then was like, that's not how I wanted to say it, but how do you say it? I said it awkwardly. Yeah, so she basically just has to try and talk him into doing whatever she wants, which is she really is an obnoxious person. And when I was watching her, I don't remember not liking her that much in the first couple of seasons, but when I saw her again, I was like, I don't know if I want to see more of this narrative where this kind of out of touch older white woman is just so upset because someone's not doing exactly what she wants and is always accusing him of scamming her. Meanwhile, she is only interested in what she wants.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be interested. She got on my nerves last episode, like last season, but it's still very fun and light. Like I don't feel like he is at an end position because he's not in the States. Like I think the good thing is that he came and picked her up in a car, which is like, when did he get a car? And he seemed it's on his turf. So she can rant and rave as much as she wants to, but at the end of the day, like, they're in his country and he's her husband and he has the upper hand, so to speak, because the truth is also if she brought him to the US, she 100% knows that he would find somebody younger and better looking and someone
Yep.
who actually spoke his language.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, she's 100% like under doesn't understand like understands that. Like he fully the fact that she can't have kids and that she would never be able to afford a surrogate in order to provide him with children, he's going to eventually leave her. So she wants to make it so that he can't.
Can you believe how smart we've come over the years of studying this over and over again? So, but we do have two brand new couples to continue on with, which I'm really excited about. Any more about them, Moa?
Let's talk about
Okay.
Rishi and his onion hair.
Yeah, let's talk about Rishi, honey, from one hot piece to another. Except I don't find this person hot, but he does himself. He is Rishi. Now, he is from India, and he is a fitness model and personal trainer, which basically is what also Johan is. And he isn't just beauty, he's also brains. This is what he says, because he also went and got his like law degree and like the engineering thing, and then he worked in the private sector. But first, this is what a little LOL. But the private sector and all of its success wasn't good enough for him, so he left it all to be like a personal trainer and model. Now, here's the thing. It's one thing if you are a model, but it's another thing that if you are spending your time every day just personal training peeps that I can tell, like it's kind of the, like their first foray into fitness. I don't know if you really were like turning down millions to like take on these tens of dollars in your career. I don't know. I'm a little skept.
I feel like he's let down his Indian parents to the 10th degree.
Oh,
Like, I feel like he is in a worse spot choosing to leave that unless he owns the gym and it's making a nice profit for him. But like, you gave up being a lawyer to be a fitness model?
who do you think whose parents hate him more? Do you think that Rishi's parents, having known that he could have been a lawyer and or an engineer, and now he's like some weird fitness model that might marry an old white woman? What's worse, that person or Sumit's parents, which he could have married an Indian woman and be happy, like giving Indian babies an Indian daughter law, but instead he like cheated on her with an old white woman and now it's with an old white woman. Whose parents hate them more? Wah.
I mean, I feel like Rishi's must, right? Because not only did Rishi give up a promising career, because Sumit did not have one. He makes street food, which is delicious, but not super popular.
Popular.
But also Rishi is also getting with an older white woman who can't have kids. Not only did he give up the career, he's also getting with a woman who most likely doesn't want or can't have kids. Well, we don't know that yet. But Rishi has a very specific hair regimen. He feels like he has the best hair in India, which I was like, there are women out there slaying the game right now. You have no idea. But I was interested in the onion, thing, because I have heard that putting onion in your hair is good for it. I just am so allergic to it that I can't ever put onion anywhere near my face. Or even in the same room as it, truthfully. Raw onion. And then he also had some coconut oil. And I was like, how refined and perfect is that coconut oil? But then we meet Jen. Jen is 46 and she's from Oklahoma and she lives on a farm with her brother and her mother. And she is feeding some pigs and you can tell that she's never really done this and she did this just for the cameras. She's kind of a like travel around the world solo dolo type of person. And she met Rishi in India while she was on a solo trip. And she first met him, thought he was a D-bag because she met him while he was like having an audition for modeling. And she ended up.
Yeah, at the lobby, he was like, "Nice to meet you. Look at these pictures of me." Just showing her pictures of him, like hot pictures. I mean, but then here's the thing. She's like, "I didn't like him." And then she's like, "But then 2 days later, you were hanging out." I'm like, "Okay, you didn't like him, but what? He asked for your number and you were like, fine."
I mean,
So,
you're in a country and you need a guide, and maybe she was thinking like they could have had a hot time. Like she didn't like him, but maybe she did want to like see what that penis like.
Honey, eat, pray, love.
So her brother is like, listen, this is crazy. Don't do this. You said that he ghosted you. And then we have this amazing video of her like looking into the camera with one tear falling from her eye saying like, listen, I love you, but this is not going to work. I'm scared and you are my first love. And Thank you so much and I appreciate the time we spent together, which is like seriously something that I would have done without professing that somebody was my first love because they wouldn't be. Also, was your husband not your first love? It seems weird that you would marry somebody that you weren't in love with. Interesting. And I'm like, that doesn't mean that he's a bad guy. So the brother felt like he was reaching, and it felt like he didn't even want to be in that conversation because he truly didn't know what else to say. I mean, his sister like freaked out, as I would have done when someone is like not communicating with me in the way that I expect them to do. And she just sent a a voice video, like not a video of herself crying and talking about how much she loved him. And it reeled him back in. Listen, if I didn't have pride, I would do that.
It's so annoying being a female right now because and always at all times, it definitely was more annoying back in the day than it is now. But I mean, just it's always annoying. But it's like there's female intuition of like when things have changed, when things have shifted, and there's also, I guess, anxious attachment or insecure attachment, which is where you want just like reassurance on some sort of basis that things are chill, but it's like not like all the time or not like a lot, but something that you feel like energetically that things are okay. It's a weird thing about dating, like
Yeah,
right?
you never really know what to do. You don't know if you should text them when they're not texting you just to keep the conversation going to let them know that you're interested in them because it feels thirsty. But also when you want to just come out and say like, "Hey, I can tell this is you're not interested in me anymore. If you're kind of like got other things on your plate, so that's cool, thanks, but I can't do this. I need some kind of regular." Then they like either don't respond to that so you feel even worse because you feel like you just went crazy for no reason, or they respond and tell you, no, 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 I'm so sorry. And then they end up ghosting you even harder the next time. So
Yep.
it's like they're like, no, no, no. And then they talk to you for 2 days, like for real, and you think it's back, and then they hard ghost you.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
like, why can't you just be honest and be like, yeah, the vibe is off. I'm so sorry. Like, but I mean, I get it. Like texting somebody and saying, hey, the vibe is off, like all the best is hard. But what I would do, and this is what I have done, is like, hey, I really enjoyed spending some time with you. However, I was dating 2 people and I think I'm choosing the other person.
Well, Jesus. No, I
Is
thought you
that
were gonna
mean?
come out of that much more elegant than you
Is
just
that
I
mean?
thought I
What
was
else?
like,
Like, I feel like I would be upset, but at least I would know it was done. What would you like him to say? If he's done with you and he's not interested anymore, how would you like for him to gracefully exit stage?
okay. Hey, Christine. Already nice. Already good. Already like, oh, okay. God, here it comes. Whatever. God bless. I really want to express how much I enjoyed your company, wit, charm, grace. Shut up while I hate you.
Wit. Wit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Listen, I'm a romantic. Even my lesbian fantasies, my straight man fantasies, everything's romantic. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it is.
and then he goes, I found myself distracted or preoccupied by someone else or something else, whatever he wants to say, and that is where my focus is, which isn't fair to you, but but the truth, but the truth.
I love
It's
that he
just
has to acknowledge that it isn't fair to you. Like the wit, okay, okay, I'll give you that. But he has to be like, this isn't fair to you. I understand you princess of princesses.
it
It's
would be
me.
nice. And
Go
then
ahead.
he
Go
would
ahead.
go, I wish you all the best, but I wish you the best. Um, and then end with an inside joke to make it seem even more personal. And then because that inside joke, because if he ends with that inside joke, he will then just leave. He can delete me, but I will always be like, "What the fuck? He was the classiest gentleman that I ever just lost. Whoever got him or whoever distracted him, honey, that's a golden poon. I mean, Lancelot. What a Lancelot."
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
Okay.
That's interesting. I'm like, what would he have to tell me? Yeah, he would just need to be like, "Hey, so I really enjoyed our time together, but I won't be able to put as much energy into this relationship because I'm kind of diverted into someone else or other things, but I do thank you for your time and I wish you all the best."
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's not that. I mean, that's like a version of what I said. Mine's maybe a little full
It's a
hourly.
version. It is. It is a version. I don't need him to tell me that it is the best time he's ever had and that he's
This
like
is. I didn't say. I mean, really. Listen, if I could have been like me, like Christine, I honestly think that you're might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my whole life. I don't know what's wrong with me, other than my other incompetence, that I will be given the opportunity to see you, even be in your presence, and I just will be honest and say I'm not worthy. I can't. It's too much for me. But there are men who are good and strong, and I will pray you find them, and I'll join the chorus behind, of like, where are the men for you? Where have all the cowboys gone for you? And I'll be like, thank you.
Yeah. It's always
Anyway, so
best when it's mutual though. That's the best. When it's fucking mutual and then they like text message you out of the blue and they're like, "Hey, sorry, I've been busy." And you're like, "Oh yeah, you." And then you ignore it because you're like, "No, this was mutual. This was mutual."
oh, yeah, no, if we both ghost each other, then that's what's happened. How dare you come back, honey? How
Yeah.
dare you're dead, honey? I mean, Casper doesn't come back, and neither does you. There was no Casper too. Okay, babes. So basically, yeah. So Charles, her brother, like has that southern thing where he doesn't like move much when he talks. You can just you know what it remind me of? It remind me a little bit of Rebecca and Zayed, in that it's a woman who has, or yeah, a woman in this case. It could be anyone, but in this case, a woman whose family members are like, we've been knowing you like your entire life. We've seen what you've done, and we've never been impressed. Never been impressed. So we don't trust you. And even now, like, you might look like a grown ass adult. Like, I guess you've been on this earth for like a certain amount of years, but I am just gonna look at you and treat you, honey, like you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and have never known. I mean,
It's
that's like,
yeah, I mean, I think I would be so upset. I mean, obviously people who are in those positions like aren't upset about it, but I would be so upset if my parents thought of me as like not a put together adult so that they could be proud that they raised. Anyways, so she's going to go to India and that's that. Now let's move on to Gabriel and Isabel from Florida. Gabriel is 32 years old and he is the shortest man. Like I want to see him with Isabel. I was like, you're teeny tiny. And the only reason why it like affected me is because I have dated at least the last two guys have just been like 5'5".
oh yeah, yeah. I only recently started to be like, I want a tall man, and I refuse. I think that I've like my whole life. Listen, there's many men that walk this world who are like, I won't date a girl above 127.
Wait a
Like,
minute, Chris, you're saying that no, tell me what you're saying. Go ahead. Never mind. Sorry.
okay,
I
I'll
didn't
tell
mean
you.
to do that.
I think there are men that walk around this world that are like, yeah, I like, like I, like I the sorry. There are men that walk around that are not afraid to say that their
Meow.
ideal range of what's
Meow.
attracted to them is this ideal of beauty that it maybe looks, let's just say, weight range, up to 130. Those men exist. So I will just be like, you know what? I'm 5'8", and I want a man that is above 6'0", 6.0. It actually changes the way I feel in their presence. I feel like it changes the molecular DNA in my atoms, where I feel different. And it must be, so listen, we all have something, and that's, I like height.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wide open because I would like yeah. So I've given up the 6 foot thing. I had it at some point and I went out with a short king and like I'm gonna wear heels and not give a shit.
Great.
Like I have made that choice. But here we have Gabriel. He is the owner of a company called Proudwear. He's a trans man and he is in front of us making something referred to as Packers. Then he gives us a little bit of information about some of what might be desires of trans men to have a cod piece in between their legs to give them the feeling of a penis, much like Prince, who wore heels so that he could be taller.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there are all of the ways in which like you present gender, and then there's the subtle ways that you don't think about like, I don't think about the way in which my pants would feel with this piece in between my legs, or whatnot. But I definitely know what it's like to walk around with two sacks on my chest, and I've always been knowing that, So
Yeah.
like, and so obviously,
Yeah, I feel more ladylike when I wear heels. Like I feel like there's something to heels that for me make me feel like a lady. So I can definitely see that
the
it being the same kind of thing.
the weight of it. Maybe there's like a little weight you almost feel like in the where you stand that slightly adjusts your stance in any kind of way, like in the way in which, yeah, like you walk differently in heels, or you walk differently if you're in horrible restaurant shoes, the kind that you have to wear that are like the worker shoes. Oh, I hate those restaurant shoes. So clunky, so heavy. I think that. So anyway, yeah. He talks about the fact that he has changed people's lives, that he gets letters from people that are like, this is amazing and thank you so much, I feel so much better. And there's many people that are trans, that, the spectrum also of where, how you want to live and what degree also, and where you are and how you want to change things on your body is different too. So this gives a great option for many people who are not uh fully realized downstairs in the like reassignment surgery aspect, which Gabe is. Gabe is like, this, there's a big Gabe downstairs, honey. You think I'm short? Like, big Gabe isn't. Big Gabe is like packing, like talk about a packer. Um,
Yeah.
so I also feel like Gabe is making what feels like some bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a niche market, obviously, but he's found this thing. He makes his own foam packers, but he has to go and get the underwear made, and maybe he slips a little packer into some sort of sleeve. He goes to Colombia to get the underwear manufactured. He was going to kind of like re-up the supply chain. He goes and he meets Isabel, and he talks about just having like a fabulous night, where they just meet and their like eyes are drawn to each other, and they like kiss and they flirt and they like dance and they talk all night. And she tells him, in the midst of all this like romanticness, that she doesn't want to have sex too fast, and that makes him feel safe, somewhat calm, and somewhat chill about that. And so he gets to just enjoy that night. And the next day, he texts her and he's like, just because you're going to know, like, soy transgender, and Isabel is totally chill with it. She's like, oh, it's okay. No big deal. Now, he says that Isabel didn't know, which then I was like, I would love to know if Isabel kind of maybe knew.
Oh, I really liked the trans man representation. I love the conversation that he was
Oh,
having
yeah.
with his friend about how
Oh,
you don't have much trans man representation, and that you see a lot of male to female um representation. And I was like, you know what? I'm happy for you, because like I don't know, I've met a trans man before, and I wasn't able to like tell. I
hmm
feel like testosterone really takes to people who are on that series of medications. It takes onto them in a way that I wouldn't be able to tell in a,
yeah.
be able to, clock anybody. So
It's that XX chromosome thing where we're kind of all, we're all females. We are born, we kind of like start as female, and then the Y chromosome comes into some of us and turns us into a biological male or whatever. And
mhm.
so I think from a state of a feminine state, I think it's testosterone really exhibits like strong qualities, So yeah, my interesting part was like, yeah, they were just like saying that, certain people pass in such a way it's sometimes hard to clock like members of what they call the brotherhood.
Yeah, his friend,
Yeah,
I
wouldn't know. I
mean,
wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
never would have known. And I personally, like, I'm open to trans men, so like I'm like, you're cute. You had any I love that he was wearing 2 watches. He had his Apple Watch and he has his Flossy watch. I love that the friend was like, "I'm coming down there to support you at your bachelor party, and I hope all the best." So we find out that Gabe is really close to her parents, and because he goes down there like monthly, because he has an apartment down there, which I'm assuming she lives in.
Yeah.
So he's
Oh,
basically taking care of her, and
yeah, that's why I'm like, he makes money. Like, this is like, I was like, he makes a lot of money. Like, this, there must be other things, or yeah, the niche market helped out, honey, because he, he become with the money.
Yeah. So anywho, the friend is in full support, and he's like, you don't have to tell the parents. And he didn't say that. I guess in my mind I thought that's what he was getting towards, is that like, but my thought was, why do you have to tell the parents? B, why is it your job to do it? Why hasn't she already told her parents? Because like,
That's a
it
good
just
point.
doesn't make any sense that you both have to go do it together. Also, the next scene with Gabe, this is where we see the crack in the porcelain. Because up until here, we were like, oh my God, he's so with it. He's like a proud trans man. He's like an advocate. He's having one man parades and like hot pink underwear. And like, yeah, he tells his whole entire story. And at first I was a little bit like, why do we have to know your whole story? Like, why can't we just accept that you're a trans man? Like, why does this country make trans people feel like they have to divulge all of their life history? But then I realized that he's probably one of the only trans individuals in a show like this that's going to reach a lot of different types of people. So it felt like it was like an educational piece, and he was willing to be the kind of spokesperson for that in that moment.
Yeah, I think that there's a delicate balance of having to teach people things. Like they would have to, yeah, someone who doesn't know about trans things would have to be taught why
Mm-hmm.
there's such thing as a packer and why this is a business where and who would buy it and who would need it and who wouldn't, and and what so I think that they're doing a great job. So the scene that you're talking about that is weird, I don't know if you actually got to verbalize it, which is the tattoo scene where he is getting tattooed by his sister's boyfriend. And in this scene it's revealed that Gabe has dated many women before, obviously, gets around, kind of a player a little bit, and has a charm about him, has a good smile. We can see that. Obviously makes a lot of money. So, like, he's throwing down. And he, like, his thing that he likes to do, like, is get their name, like, tattooed on him. You know what I'm saying? And so he is getting Isabel's name, like, tattooed on him, meanwhile getting another woman's name that he had dated, like, off of him. And it's, gives his sister a lot of time to, like, really go at him. And he's like, the sister, I mean, is like not playing. I mean, she's just like, I understood the assignment, which has come for you. She's like, you've always been impulsive. Now, this part, I will say this is the one part that was kind of a little bit, I got it, like, it like gave me a little like electric shock. I'm afraid there's a trope, like, okay, I don't want the first transgendered person on 90 Day Fiancé to have the word impulsive be like a word that is used to describe this person, because
Mm.
sometimes I feel like, I know you're gonna, because I know, because listen, as I've already said, a lot of the people, the romantic choices on this show are already impulsive. They just met someone, they want to live with them, they can't live with them, so they have to get them to come over, and suddenly they only have 90 days, but then they get married. It's all of that is already impulsive, okay? Like, but unfortunately, a lot of trans people have a fight against them, which is the idea of like certain things being phases, or this being an impulse or a phase of their gender identity. And so now I will tell you that Gabe has, in their Gabe story, it was like, look, like, I knew I was gay, like, I knew I was liking women. I was like, honey, fucking five. And then I just didn't realize there was this thing called trans. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll be a butch gay lesbian. Oh my God. And then I was on YouTube and realized that you could go through a transgender journey by watching this person do it on YouTube, and like went down the rabbit hole. I was like, oh, that's what I am. Right. And that happened really early on. And Gabe's like, 18 to early 20s, and Gabe is now like 32. So Gabe's gender identity is nothing at all impulsive. But because that word is used in this scene, it made me kind of cringe that the producers let that be there, because I feel like it gives fodder.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't take off in that direction, but I mean, the sister reads him for filth. Was like, you moved women into our mom's house, like more than one. You get them tattooed on you. You make decisions immediately. And also, this woman has kids. And didn't you say you didn't want to ever date somebody who has kids? And then it basically, like, what I got from this was that he doesn't want to have to raise any kids. Like, he's not interested in the rearing of kids. and he feels like Isabel is going to have time for him. Like, also there's a time factor where he's like, well, her kids are older, so they don't need her as much. And I'm like, oh, you're like fully like, yeah, I want you to give me all of your attention at all
Mhm.
times, and
Mhm.
your dumb kids can suck an egg.
Mhm.
And so he's like, well, her kids are like 16 and 11. And I'm like, that 11-year-old, once you move into that house, that 11-year-old is going to need his mama like crazy. And you're going to have to help her with them. The 16-year-old is going to be going through a thing, and she might be trying to do whatever, and your Isabel's going to be frustrated, and you're going to have to support her through it. And it just seems really negligent for him to ha- um for him to toss away the idea of how important her kids are and what the impact they're going to have on their lives is. It's really crazy.
Isabel is beautiful, and I'm excited to see like how this plays out. Like we're obviously going to meet the parents, we're obviously going to meet the kids, all of that's going to happen. And I'd love to meet Gabe's ex-girlfriend. Wouldn't that be LOL? Everything's a possibility, honey. This is only episode 1. I will say this, when I was watching on the oh yeah, I was watching on the stupid app. They didn't give a next time. There was no scenes for whatever the next episode is, which was weird to me. Like, there wasn't even a super teaser at the end.
I can't remember.
Okay,
Um,
well, this is true.
yeah.
So I just like it ended, and I was like, oh, hmm, oh, weird. Okay, so that is. Do we have any more? We don't even know if we have another couple that might be introduced later on.
Yeah, we have 2 more couples that are going to be introduced later on.
Oh, okay, good. You do know that. All right, babes. Well, we're done. We have done all the couples of the first episode of season 4 of Towing It Up, honey. Tow. So we are excited to continue the line of towing. And we're just Carl's AAA, honey. We're there. We're the roadside assistant.
Assistants. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to see more of us, you absolutely can on what's called social media. Have you heard of it? There's such thing as Instagram. I know it's crazy. At DocuSweeties is us. We're also on TikTok. It's at DocuSweeties, and Twitter. It's DocuSweeties1.
If you would
What?
like to see the visuals of what you are hearing, what is tickling your eardrum, you can join our Patreon. And we want to thank you so much to the new patrons that have come in. We've had like 3 come in the last week. So it's been maybe 1. Maybe we've had 3 come in January. I'm trying to do a thing and I'm failing. Anyways, thank you so much for those of you who recently joined us. We love your patronage. It's $10 a month, and you can find us on patreon.com/DocuSweeties.
Thank you so much. Give us 5 stars. We love you guys. And we have a lot of fun things coming up, and some collabs and things on Netflix. What are you watching? Tell us if you want us to watch something with you. And other than that, have a fabulous rest of your week. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.